I will exhale and move into the Robin Hood portion of the pod today.
Good music.
Oh.
You know what? I've seen this before, but it's been a while. So you come in there so kind of with finesse and kindness.
Robin Hood is here.
That was better than the singing in the open.
Yes, I was.
Quicker.
Yes.
Cleaner. Okay, let's begin with wide receiver. You have a number of guys here that you consider kind of mid-round steals. Dyami Brown, North Carolina, your third-ranked receiver, is first on your list.
Right, and I think, again, now Dyami Brown doesn't really fit the Robin Hood mold here, but...
What is the definition? Like, does a second-rounder count, or are we talking...
To me, really, it's just guys that aren't getting the notoriety they deserve. Dyami Brown is a guy that I still think has a possibility to, like, sneak into the end of the first round. I do not think that's crazy. I know there's some teams who look at him to go, wait, Chris, I agree with you. He could fall somewhere in that range, no doubt about it. I just don't think he's getting enough credit. All we talk about is the two Alabama receivers and Jamar Chase. That's all we ever hear about. And then it goes to the next pass catcher, which is Kyle Pitts. And then, after that, I feel like it usually does go to Kadarius Toney. Dyami Brown and his skill set, this is a superstar potential. I mean, he really does.
Outside and slot?
More outside, but... again, the big thing that's holding him back is route tree.
Yeah.
It's all you ever hear is route tree. And to me, at some point, you got to be able to piece some things together, And, I'll use, T. Higgins last year.
Mm-hmm.
T. Higgins, his route tree wasn't extensive, and some of the routes he ran, sometimes you go, that could be cleaner. I wish that was better. But then he would catch the ball and make these sharp cuts, and you're like, well, why the can't he do that when he just runs the route without the ball in his hands?
Yeah.
And if you watch Cincinnati play football this year, he was a pretty good route runner. It was in him to do that. And the same thing with Dyami Brown. I don't know, when I see him catch the ball and cut either way, he breaks ankles and makes people look stupid. So it makes me believe that he'll be able to go to the white line and make a right-hand turn when he has to. I just think so.
As long as you mentioned Cincinnati.
Yeah.
What if, instead of going Jamar Chase at 5, what if they took the best offensive tackle in Penei Sewell, early second round, get your guy Dyami Brown?
That would be ideal of ideal.
Think about that wide receiver set that they would have.
Know. I know that, and listen, I tossed around that idea and everything like that. Now, I think to go... that's the big question with that 5 pick. Sewell is pretty damn special.
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase is pretty damn special.
What a first-class problem to have for that team.
It is
the
a
best
first-class
receiver
problem.
And the best tackle.
At the two deepest positions to where you're probably going to be able to get a good another one, the opposite of who you pick first, in the second round.
Yes.
So that's the big thing, too. But I think what you have to balance if you're Cincinnati in that scenario is how confident are we there going to be that what we view as a true difference-making wide receiver will be there.
Would you count Brown as that?
I do. And if you felt like for sure, man, the way we've played out our board and we've played because this is what teams are doing. They're going through the draft and playing scenarios and thinking about, okay, well, in this scenario, we have this group of guys available to us. All right, in this scenario, we have this group of guys available to us. And if you feel confident that a Dyami Brown or Kadarius Toney maybe or something like that will be on the board at, what are they, 37, 38?
I've got it slotted down here.
Somewhere in there. I think it's 38. But either way, then maybe you do that. I mean, I'm really fascinated by that. I've gone back and forth with that conversation there with Cincinnati.
They're one of the fun ones.
Yeah.
Amari Rodgers, Clemson.
Amari Rodgers gets no talk. Amari Rodgers, to me, is a guy that's going to thrive in the NFL and really, was a little bit, he dealt with some injuries and things like that at Clemson. But one of those guys, Paul, that's a wide receiver that's built like a running back. They don't have an offense that knows how to really work. This is where I get into they're a college-y offense, right, a little bit. They don't have slot option routes. And the things that maybe he could thrive at and be good at, they didn't really do that in college. But I think the guy has got a little bit of everything. I mean, there's strength to his game. When he catches the ball, he turns into a running back and can make people miss and break tackles and do that. More break tackles than make people miss. But then also there's enough speed to be outside and go, wait, he's strong enough and fast enough outside to be a real thing too. You've seen him in person.
Yeah.
I mean, what jumped out to you? We haven't had this conversation.
I watched him and thought, what a great slot receiver he'd be in the NFL.
Right.
I mean, he was more outside. like you're talking about, big-time numbers at Clemson when he was healthy, with a lot of talent around him. I mean, Trevor had to run the ball. He had to give it to Travis. He had to throw to other guys out there. But his numbers when he was healthy were really good.
Right.
And he just looks like somebody who put him in the slot.
Right.
I mean, get him in the middle rounds, probably?
I think so. I think he's probably going to be like a fourth rounder somewhere in there, I think, realistically. Something
he's a guy who catching, 30, 40 balls his rookie season.
He definitely. Without a doubt. I mean, I think, the NFL, it's where I look at guys like him. I probably could have put Amon-Ra St. Brown in this from USC. Those are guys where I look at to go, college, they were good, but they're more made for the NFL. They're going to have the definitive role in the NFL to where we're all going to look at them maybe in a few years and go, damn, they're catching 85 balls a season. I didn't think that was going to happen. But, like Rodgers in person, is he what I think he is as far as looking like a running back almost?
Quicks. I don't know what his 40 would be. I never watched him. I think I saw him 3 times in person and thought, man, I wonder what his 40 is. But when he catches it, his first couple steps happen in a hurry.
It is. It's
and that's
explosive.
what made me think in the slot, catch a 5-yard pass for a 9-yard gain. I'll take 2nd and 1 all day long.
I think he's that type of guy. I do. He has definitely kind of been lost in the shuffle here. And it just speaks again to the receivers that you can get in this draft, I think in the 3rd or 4th round that can really help your football team.
Marquez Stevenson from Houston.
Speed. That's the biggest thing. I think he's a guy that could surprise people, and maybe I think he's going to be it could be a 2nd-round pick for the ability that he has to run routes. He really can stick his foot in the ground and come out of breaks and do all that really well. He's got special return ability too, and the speed on the film is, oh wow, does he run 4.29 or 4.31? It's that kind of look, right? To where I just think it's too good, and the way he runs routes, and then he has enough size and everything behind it to where I think he does go somewhere in the first 2 rounds.
And Jalen Darden, your last wide receiver to talk about here from North Texas.
Man, I haven't, and you need to call some friends just to talk about Jalen Darden. I don't know where people view him. Name. He is 3 rockets up his ass fast. I mean, he can fly. I mean, this is the guy that, there was some Tyreek Hill in him, what he could do. And, Pete, if you can, I want to say I remember him running a really impressive 40 time at his own pro day, which is, again, it's a weird year with the pro days, but true slot guy, weapon guy, smaller than Kadarius Toney, right? But along those lines of that type of player. And I would say he's actually faster than Kadarius Toney. Now, he's not going to break tackles and do that. Kadarius Toney can really do stuff like that where he can run between the tackles and break tackles. Darden's smaller. He's got some issues catching the ball over the middle. He's worried about his small body and playing that way. But a true slot jitterbug type that's got home run hitting ability, which is kind of rare. Usually those guys are quicker than fast, right? This guy's no, he's quicker and faster. He's got them both.
I think Pete just said in the 4.4s.
Yeah, that's disappointing. I mean, that's shocking to me, actually.
Some guys look faster on film, though,
I know.
which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's say 3rd round, your GM looks to you, you're an offensive coordinator. You can have one of these guys. You can have Stevenson or Darden, different kind of receivers. Speed outside, or that guy in the slot you just described.
I'd probably favor Stevenson a little bit. I would. I just think the size, is a real thing to me. And Stevenson, I guess I just have less questions overall. Route running maybe better with Stevenson, size better with Stevenson. Didn't have questions about his hands a little bit. Darden, there was a little bit of those issues there. Again, I think he could be one of those surprise awesome players for a team, but I have more questions about him.
Moving into the backfield, running back out of North Carolina, your 2nd-ranked running back, Michael Carter.
Yeah, I mean, it's all ATN and Najee Harris.
Right.
And I think this guy is right there in the class with him. I mean, obviously, I think he's better than Najee Harris. You give me my offense, I want Michael Carter. I do. I mean,
What did you see from him that makes him better than Najee Harris?
He's his acceleration and straight head speed is on another level from Najee Harris. I mean, as we know, Najee Harris, we're talking about a guy who played for the best offensive line in college football, and he's got 1 run over 20 yards. That to me should say something to people a little bit. I mean, just a little to go wait, he got a running start to run through holes, and the longest run we got is a a 25, 27-yard gain. That, to me, speaks to itself to where I just go, do you hear what you're saying?
Yeah.
That means he's not a first-round pick, at least for me. Now, this kid, Michael Carter, it's the acceleration and then the ability to make people miss is truly elite that way. So I take that. I just think he's made for the NFL as far as coming out of the backfield, catching balls, doing that, got some value in between the tackles, and he's a big play back.
You think he makes it out of the second round?
I don't think there's any way. I would think, we're going to see a run of him, Najee Harris, and Travis Etienne anywhere from, let's say, 24 to 50.
Right.
I think you start to see those guys go off the board.
One more running back, Javian Hawkins, Louisville.
Yeah.
Your third-ranked back.
Again, home run hitter. Javian Hawkins is one of those guys. Give him a hole, tell him to put the pedal to the metal, and we'll see you in the end zone. That's the kind of player he is. He's tiny. He's small. I get that. I think he's Raheem Mostert or a Matt Breida type of guy. It might not be a long career, but it's going to be a lot of highlights and big plays. And I hear his name nada at all. I think really he's probably going to be true mid-round pick. And I don't know, maybe there's more to the story there than I know.
At tight end, a player you and I got to know pretty well over the last 3 years, Tommy Tremble out of Notre Dame, your third-ranked tight end.
Yeah, third-ranked tight end. Physically is the second most gifted tight end in the draft. He is more gifted than the kid from Penn State, Freiermuth. But he's gotten more catches. You see more route running from him on Penn State. Tremble, to me, is just intriguing because there's great potential, I think, to be like a big-time tight end. But he's just a hell of a football player that is going to have a role that's more valued, again, in the NFL than it is in college football.
Right.
That H-back, second tight end, slot receiver, fullback. You don't know what position we're going to line up in, and then with his speed and his physicality, man, I just have a hard time thinking NFL teams aren't going to love him.
I think his just pure receiving production at Notre Dame wasn't as high the second half of last year as
Scare people.
As maybe it should have been. And there's a lot of reasons that could go into that. But I think his receiving production next level will be better.
I did too.
Will look better than it did at Notre Dame. And his physicality is just outstanding.
It's off the
can't tell you
charts.
how many times another coach is like, okay, cue the portion of this call where the other coach talks about 24 on Notre Dame and how physical he is every play.
He's just got no fear. Just throws his body around like he's the strongest man on the planet.
Enjoys that part of the game.
He really does. Feet drive on contact, no matter how aggressive the contact is. He's truly one of the best lead blockers in the draft, let alone, like you said, he can really run. And I also think, because of his vast skill set, it kind of hurt him at Notre Dame, to where they were like, well, wait, our tight end here, this tight end can only play tight end. But we got this other guy that can do all these, so let's use him. Oh, but we don't have a play that's drawn up for him to catch the ball at that position.
And
that hurts him, So, again, that's why I think, to what we're saying here, he's made for the NFL.
Yeah, a lot of those catches at tight end went to the freshman last year, Michael Mayer.
Right.
It doesn't mean that Tommy Tremble couldn't catch the ball. They just ended up going to a different spot.
Right.
Offensive line, tackle Walker Little from Stanford.
Walker Little, if there isn't COVID-19, is a top 20 talent. Again, it's another intriguing thing of this draft. Where does he go? I don't know. He is definitely one of the most talented guys in the draft. He is Nate Soldier from New England in his prime. He's way better than Nate Soldier coming out in the draft.
I know you like traits. He was one that had the traits at a level. He might have been the top-rated tackle in high school 3 or 4 years ago.
I think he was, right.
One of the top 2 or 3.
He's long arms, unbelievable feet, strength is the real deal. The ability to move in space, you name it, this guy's got it. So, there's not a lot of talk about him, but from what you do see on film, there's no technique issues, there's no physical issues at all. He COVID-19 opted out, and he tore his ACL in his first game the year before that. So it's been 2 years since he's played, and that's going to scare teams, definitely. But I'm still thinking somewhere in the second.
Wow.
Maybe early third. I just think he's too freaking talented.
Too talented.
And again, we're talking about a draft where there's limited elite players in the draft. I think you could see these guys get overdrafted more this year than maybe years past too.
Guard Aaron Banks from Notre Dame.
Man,
looks like a tackle.
It looks like a tackle. Probably could do it, really. His feet are not ideal for tackle play, but they're good enough. But here's a guy that just, again, all we do is talk about the same main guys that are the first-round offensive linemen. Banks is just on the edge of that. Like, I thought about Banks at pick 31 to Baltimore. I thought Ravens need offensive linemen. Banks is their type of guy, big, hulking guard to just blow people off the ball, who can move well enough to pull and do all that when you need. Plus, he's coached like an NFL player, like we've talked about at Notre Dame. So he has all of those things going for him. Like, I would be shocked if Aaron Banks doesn't go in the second round for sure.
And Jackson Carman, your last offensive lineman, a guard from Clemson.
Yeah, and, you know, he played tackle. He could be a if you had to call my shot, right, to go, who's the first-round offensive lineman who's going to be a superstar or, like, the guy that doesn't go in the first round, I would probably say it's this guy or Walker Little.
Wow.
Yes, because he's got all the attributes to be a franchise left tackle. You know, little rawness with some technique. Also in Clemson, you know, they will ask their guys to do some things that are not going to look good on film. Like, let's just say, you're the guard. I'm Jackson Carman, the tackle.
Yeah.
All right, I got my guy, you got your guy, right? There's a D tackle over you, there's a D end over me. They'll do your guy, they're going to do a twist, right? And switch. Now your D tackle's running at me, and my D end's going behind him and running at you. They tell their team to go, no, you still take your guy. Even though that tackle is running into you, we'd like you to get around him or move around him and still block that huge human being who's running at full speed over there. So there's some plays where you go, you know, a bad evaluator is going to go, well, that's a negative. And I'm going to go, what human on earth could stop that or make that block there?
Bad scheme.
I could take you Trenton Williams, who's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's not going to be able to make that tackle. So he's another guy that I think is going in the second round and has really big potential, guard or tackle. He could be a guy to me where if, like, the Bengals go Jamar Chase, maybe he's the guy that they go at the top of the second round.
And don't underestimate these guys that are really adept at being guard or tackle, because you only get to dress how many linemen on game days?
Yeah, well,
7?
I think 7, maybe.
7?
I mean, you can dress as many as you want, but you just got to be careful. You got numbers issues.
It's a limited number of available guys.
Right.
So if you have a stud who can play a couple positions like that,
that's great flexibility, and
awesome.
It's great insurance in the draft pick in general. It's just you just go, well, if he fails at this one, at least he can do the other one. So that makes them feel better about picking the guy.
Let's go to the other side of the ball. Start with edge out of Pittsburgh, Rashad Weaver, who's your 4th at that position.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rashad Weaver, as you know. I mean, we talk about there's 3 true, hands-down, elite guys in the draft to me, and that's, again, Jalen Phillips, Kwity Paye, Jason Owe. Then you get into that next group of guys, you know, and to me, that's where Rashad Weaver is. You know, Joe Tryon is going to be off the board. He's almost 260 pounds, and he runs 4.6, and for those teams that like fast DNs, you know, there's not a lot of them to go around in this draft, so he's going to go. You know, I think he's going to go at pick 22 to the Jets. You know, Azeez Ojulari from Georgia, you know, same type of thing. Bigger guy, good athlete. There's not a lot of them in the draft. He's going to go in the first round of the top 40 picks for sure. You know, so then I get to who's the next guy after that to go, ooh, this guy could be a double-digit a year type sack guy. For me, that's Rashad Weaver. Got it all. I mean, he really does. The length can be deceiving as far as the explosiveness is concerned. You know, because it's like a Montez Sweat. The first step is like 7 yards long. So you're like, well, is that fast? I don't know. I can't tell. But the results speak for itself. He gets on the edges of offensive tackles all the time. And then he had an impressive 40 in pro day that backs up my thought of what I saw on film.
How fast?
You know, I don't even know what his 40 time it was. It was more of the 3-cone and the 5-10-5 and the 3-cone drill. He killed it to make me think, hey, there's the bend and like the short area quickness and explosiveness that I thought about, or at least that jumped out to me.
Let's go defensive backs here. And as we're thinking about what we're labeling Robin Hood picks, great value, you know, round 2 and beyond, my favorite Super Bowl facts, the Buccaneers playing so well in the back end, not a single defensive back drafted in the first round. Those are all second, third, and fourth round picks. Keep that in mind here as you run through your value.
Some of my favorites. Carlton Davis, their corner.
Yeah.
He was my, I believe, second or third corner one year coming out.
And your top safety last year?
And my top safety last year was Antoine Winfield.
Yep.
And even the other safety, other corner they got out of Auburn.
Both from Auburn.
What the hell is the other guy's name? I'm going to blank. Number 35. It begins with a D. He was another guy a few years ago.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
They fit the mold of Chris Simms and what I like at corner.
Yeah.
There was film. Auburn goes, you got that guy. And I go, oh, okay, that guy can cover that guy all the time. Unbelievable.
Right.
And they are, low 4.4, high 4.3 type of football players. It's going to kill me. I got to look.
To the computer we go.
Jamel Dean. Exactly right. I mean, Jamel Dean was a 4.2 type of guy.
Yeah.
So thank you, Pete.
Okay. Cornerback. You have two of them. Paulson Adebo Stanford is your first.
Yeah, I mean, Paulson Adebo, heard buzz about him early on in the process, just haven't heard a lot about him. And again, it's a COVID opt-out. Mm-hmm. But again, straight line speed, the ability to accelerate and break on the ball is as good as there is in the draft. And then he's a heat-seeking missile when it comes to tackling. So hasn't been a lot of buzz about him. I don't know if he's going to go in the first round. It doesn't sound like that. But I think he's a guy that deserves to be mentioned here, and I would be shocked if he gets out of the second round.
And out of LSU, Carrie Vincent.
Yeah, Carrie Vincent's a guy that didn't make my top corners. He was a tough eval. The physical ability's there. I don't know if he's a nickel or a safety or what he is. He played safety at LSU, but they played him in a spot that is very odd, where he was like, at some points, Paul, like how to play nickel, but he was also playing it safe. It's like they were trying to get him to play both positions. It's like, hey, we want you to cover this guy, but also be back and play safety. But you're going to have to cover this guy from 12 yards off, and now he's going to get to run at you full speed and go whatever way he wants, and we want you to cover him. So there's some underwhelming
hard
plays.
Evaluation.
It's a tough spot.
Yeah.
It goes back to like our Clemson tackle. You just go, I don't care. You can put Deion Sanders there. There's going to be some issues with that kind of technique or what they're asking him to do. But too good of a football player, a lot like Xavier McKinney last year out of Alabama. That kind of guy. Nickel, safety, I don't know, just a good football player I want in the back end who can kind of do everything. And I think that's where he'll fit. And I think he's another guy that's somewhere in the second round.
And think about how many snaps NFL teams play with 6 DBs in the field. So someone who might be a safety, might be a corner. We couldn't figure out what he was playing in college, but he was playing it pretty well.
Yeah.
Find a home for him.
No doubt. Those guys like that are gold right now in the NFL.
Safety, Andre Cisco out of Syracuse.
Yeah, I mean, it's my favorite safety in the draft. And
you didn't have one going in the first round.
No, and because here's a guy he tore his ACL early on last year in the season, so he won't go there. But if you ask me one safety who I think can be the superstar of the draft, I'm going with Andre Cisco. Is a big-time hitter, big-time athlete. Speed is 4.3 speed. It doesn't matter. Like Michael Carter, we're talking about him, right? He breaks a run against North Carolina. Andre Cisco runs him down. It does. He is real deal that way. And again, I think undervalued a little bit. And I've heard this from people like, there's some really bad plays on tape. And I just want to go, again, it goes back to the whole thing. At safety, he's asked to do things that other safeties were just not asked to do. And some of it, I just go, it's not realistic to succeed. I don't care who it is. And I think that's going to hurt him. But he'll be interesting to see where he goes. Such high-end talent.
What's your guess?
There's some underwhelming film because of some of the things I talked about. And then the torn ACL.
Round 2?
Late 2, probably.
Third,
probably
more
really
likely.
Early third, something in that. I think that's probably where it goes.
Cisco is your number 1 safety out of Syracuse. Your 4th out of TCU is Ardarius Washington.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's the Chris Simms crush. He's my man crush. These are my man crush people right here. And he's smaller, but when you talk about giving no about yourself and hitting people, nobody exemplifies that more than Ardarius Washington. I mean, he's a heat-seeking missile. As I told you, I think at the time when we did the safety breakdowns, he doesn't care if he gets run over either. He's coming. It doesn't matter. And you're going to fall down. You might trip over him. He might knock your feet out from underneath you. Either way, that's what's happening. I just looked at him and just go, it's Honey Badger. Now, he's going to probably be third rounder because everybody's going to go, oh, he's only 185 pounds, even though we love Honey Badger, who's 185 pounds and one of the best guys. So he'll be underdrafted because of that and then get on the team and be starting, and everybody will go, why wasn't he drafted higher?
How come you have him as your fourth safety instead of your second?
You know, I think the big thing is I wasn't sure maybe if it was like, is he a nickel? Is he a true safety? You got to kind of find a niche for him a little bit there. You know, you don't want him to be an in the box, right? Like playing 5 yards. That's not his game. He's going to lose a lot of battles if he's asked to do that. So I guess that's where I kind of just had a little trepidation about, you know, where you put him exactly.
Those are your Robin Hood picks. My main question now is, do we get that graphic at the end or just the beginning where you slide in?
I mean, we should. I mean, it's such a great graphic. It really should.
I'm not seeing it.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
There he is.
Kristen I thought she was asleep at the wheel. I thought she was.
You look so kind and young.
Oh, I love all the green behind me. I'm wearing green today, right?
Yeah,
it's
white,
good.
pretty white.
Right.
I think that was like November-ish.
Yeah, I got some secret green plants back there, planted too. You don't even know you can't see them in that picture.
Kristen's looking at it like, where?
What green plants?
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.